Permit Services info broadcast for employers gives you answers if you want to hire a person from abroad. Join us to hear about the work permit services in Finland and the help that the TE office and Migri can offer to the employers. Welcome to TE Live Info broadcast. Today we are talking about the work permit services in Finland and about the steps in the process when you are hiring a person from abroad. Our studio guests from TE office and Finnish immigration service Migri are giving information and tips for you during this broadcast. You can also ask questions via chat, and there you will get answers from our 3 work permit specialists from TE office. You have also sent us some pre-questions. We will take some of those into discussion later during this broadcast. We will start with Teemu Ihalainen, a customer experience specialist from Migri, Finnish Immigration Service. Welcome.
Thank you.
Teemu, when does an employee need a residence permit?
Well, if you are not an EU citizen, if you're not from a Nordic country, then you need a residence permit. If you want to move to Finland, in general, you can apply on the basis of studies, family ties, for example. But in this case, if you are coming to work in Finland, you need to apply on the basis of work. Yeah.
And for working in Finland, how can an employee apply for a residence permit?
Well, first of all, you need to find a job and you need to do a job contract. After that, you can apply. You need to apply outside of Finland. That's important nowadays. But there's different permit applications for different jobs, so you need to find the right application. If you are having a hard time finding the right application, you can find you can use our application finder, which you can find from our webpage. There's different permits for different kind of jobs. So if you're coming here to do a job that requires some special expertise, you might need a specialist's permit. But yeah, once you find the right application, then you can submit the application in Enter Finland.
And the application can be done online, so can you tell more about this?
Yeah, that's our Enter Finland online service. The quickest, cheapest way to apply. Online service. If you are applying on the basis of work, there's a new application form that asks questions, and it helps you to choose the right kind of application. So that's really handy, but that only works if you're applying on the basis of work. If you're the employer, there's also online service for you, Enter Finland for employers. We highly recommend that also the employers use Enter Finland. It's the quickest and easiest way to supplement the employee's application, which you have to do as an employer in most cases.
And what happens after the application is sent?
You need to wait for the positive decision abroad, and once you get the positive decision, you get the residence permit card, then you're ready to move to Finland and start working here.
All right, thank you, Teemu.
Thank you.
Next, we will talk with Work Permit Services Specialist Maria Tervonen from TE office. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you.
How are the residence permits for an employed person currently processed?
At the moment, the residence permits for employees are processed in 2 phases. First, the TE office makes a partial decision on the case, and after that, the Finnish immigration makes the final decision. However, from the beginning of January 1st, 2025, the applications will be processed entirely by the Finnish Immigration Service, since the TE offices will cease to exist. But we hope that this change will make the process even smoother and faster.
And what is the role of the TE office in processing residence permits for an employed person?
The TE office will assess whether the employment relationship and the employer meet the necessary legal requirements for working in Finland.
And what does the TE office take into consideration when making a partial decision?
The criteria that we look at when making a partial decision, well, firstly, we look at the availability of labor, which we also call labor market testing. Secondly, we take a look of the terms of employment. And thirdly, we look at the company's ability to meet its obligations as an employer. And by that we mean, for example, information regarding tax debt or insurances. And that information we mostly get from the tax administration's compliance reports. We can also take a look of employees' specific qualification and state of health. And lastly, we will see that the employee has sufficient income for the durations of the residence permit being applied for.
And what is meant by the terms of employment and how important it is to submit them to the application?
Yes. By the terms of employment, we mean information, for example, like salary, working hours, the collective agreement, and also, for example, the occupation of the employee and main duties. And the employer can submit the terms of employment to the application in Enter Finland for employers. And it's really important because without that we cannot process the application in the TE office.
So what should an employer keep in mind when applying for a residence permit for an employed person at the end of 2024?
At the moment, it's good to keep in mind that the TE offices will cease to exist at the end of 2024, and at the beginning of 2025, the application process will be done entirely by the Finnish Immigration Service. And also, at the beginning of 2025, then our contact information will change. Yes.
Thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you.
Next, we will continue with Work in Finland specialist Rosa Tuominen from TE office. Welcome, Rosa.
Thank you.
Rosa, could you tell us about the guidance package aimed at employers that is made by Work in Finland and Migri?
Yeah, so Work in Finland and the Finnish Immigration Service have created an instruction guide for employers who want to hire an employee from abroad but need some advice how to start the process. So we have made a simple information leaflet that guides employers step by step through the application process for a residence permit of an employed person, so what Teemu and Maria were telling us about. But it also explains the overall moving process to Finland from the perspective of the employer. So what the company needs to do, what is their role, and then how they can help to guide the employee through the whole international recruitment process. So the guide gives like a concise description of the whole international recruitment process from start to finish. And it's a simple 3-page PDF document. And the first 2 pages, they have more detailed step-by-step instructions with also relevant like links to government websites where you can get more information. But then the 3rd page provides a good overview of the whole process, because it's very important that the company understands the whole journey. And it's available in English, Finnish and Swedish. And I really recommend the guide for employers who are doing this for the first time, as it will help them navigate through the process. And the guide can be found on Finnish Immigration Service's website, but we're also happy to share the direct link to the chat later.
And Rosa, could you also tell us about the Work in Finland advice service for employers?
Yeah, so we are a free nationwide service for employers, so for organizations and businesses who are registered in Finland who have questions about how to hire international talent. So you can ask us questions about the international recruitment process, but also specific questions about the immigration process, or, for example, how an employee can guide or employer can guide their employee to get a tax card in Finland, for example. But we, of course, advise employers also about if they have any questions to do with how to hire a talent who's already living in Finland. So, for example, international students, that's what we get asked quite a lot recently. And employers can call us or email us, and in the guide, there's also our contact details where to reach us. But yeah, if a company is hiring for the first time, I definitely recommend to call us.
Thank you very much, Rosa.
Thank you.
We will next go to the chat and pre-questions part. Thank you for sending questions to our chat and also a few pre-questions. In the chat, our T-Office specialists from Work Permit Services are answering to you during this whole broadcast, and also we will keep the lines open a little bit also after this live, so you can still write if something comes to your mind. Now we will take a couple of pre-questions to this conversation with Teemu Ihalainen from Migri. And this is the first one. It's written in Finnish, so I'm going to read it in Finnish. Haluan palkata lyhytaikaista ammattitaitoista työvoimaa Kosovosta renkaiden vaihtosesonkien ajaksi. Työlupa pitäisi saada 2 tai 3 kuukaudeksi, koska vallitseva säätilanne vaikuttaa sesongin alkamisen ja lopettamisen ajankohtaan. Työtä tehdään noin 4-5 viikkoa, jonka jälkeen tekijät palaavat kotiin. Viimeksi Migri torppasi hakemuksen mielivaltaisesti, koska perusteetta epäiltiin, että hakemus 3 kuukauden työluvalle oli valheellinen. Hakemuksen kanssa viivyteltiin joka tapauksessa kuukausia ja myönteinenkin päätös olisi siinä vaiheessa tullut liian myöhään. Miten pitäisi toimia, että Migri ottaisi asian vakavasti? Työluvan hakijalle Kosovossa 500 € hinta hakemukselle, jota ei edes tutkita kunnolla, on korkea. Miten tämä voi onnistua?
No kiitos kysymyksestä ensinnäkin. Ensinnäkin sanoisin kyllä, että kyllä meillä kaikki hakemukset tutkitaan ja tutkitaan vakavasti vielä, että ei me niinku noin vain kielteisiä tehdä, mutta tuohon niinku aikaisempaan hakemukseen ylipäätään tietysti pysty oikein ottaa kantaa, kun en tiedä näitä yksityiskohtia ja muutenkin tietysti yksittäisen tapauksen kommentointi on vähän vaikeaa. Mutta siis periaatteessa noilla niin kuin kerrotuilla spekseillä voisi hakea työntekijän oleskelulupaa. Niin sitä kestoa ei ole millään tavalla rajattu siinä, että tuommoisen lyhytkestoisempaakin työhön se niin kuin sopii, mutta toki siinä on niitä edellytyksiä muun muassa toimeentuloon liittyen, mitä pitäisi täyttää. Että nämä kannattaa kaikki tarkistaa tuolta meidän verkkosivuilta, ja jos näyttää siltä, että edellytykset täyttyy, niin sitten ei muuta kuin hakemusta vetämään.
And then we have next question. It's in English. I'm in Finland since 2015. I did my master degree from Finland. I was continuously working until April 22 when I injured in a workplace accident and took long sick leave. During my sick leave, the company I was working for ended its services in Finland and I became unemployed in August 22. Since then, I'm continuously looking for a permanent job, but no success. Now I decided to start working on 0-hour contracts in GAIC sector. Can I apply with 0 hours contract by showing enough earnings for permanent residency?
We don't have the information about what is your current residence permit right now, because once you are applying for permanent residence permit, you still need to meet the requirements of the A permit you are currently having, and then you need to also meet the requirements of the permanent permit. But in this case, we would need to know about the previous or the residence permit he's having right now. But you can find information about the income requirement from our webpage. In some cases, 0-hour contract might be enough, but only in some cases. And then also you need to meet the requirements of the permanent permit. So also see those requirements from our webpage.
Thank you for the questions. We will also check if there is more after the live. And thank you, Teemu, and other guests for being here. And final question to Teemu, you also have this hakemusopas, the guidance application form. So where can you find it?
It's in our webpage. You will see the link. I think it is called Application Finder.
Finder, yes.
Yeah. So there's a big link saying I want to come to Finland,
Yes.
something like this.
And we will put it also in the chat.
Yeah, that's
Yes. You can also watch this broadcast also afterwards from our telive.fi website and also from our YouTube channel Uudenmaan TE-palvelut. We will put all these important links to our chat where you can find more information about the work permit services and Finnish Immigration Service, Migri. Our next broadcast is on Thursday, the 26th of September at 1 p.m. And then we will hear about the open jobs in Help Brother Out Oy. See you then.